What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Evil Intoxicated, episode number 45.
45, you got it, man.
And we are doing our first tough recap here with season 25, episode 1. We're going to give you guys a quick recap of that for a half hour, and then we're going to jump into some MMA news really quick. And this week, it was a 2-hour episode. Next week, it will be right on time, and we'll be starting to do our show at 11 instead of 10 p.m. But first off, Ted, as the show began tonight, what was your vibe that you picked up about it? Just between the coaches.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, you want to talk bad blood. It really doesn't get any worse than that. Because of the fact that Cody No Love Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw, Snake, Snake in the grass, whatever you want to call him, the Thrillershaw, because they used to be teammates at Team Alpha Male, and then Cody left to, not Cody. TJ left to go with Dwayne Bang Ludwig full-time. He says because Uriah Faber gave him an ultimatum. Choose Team Alpha Male or choose Bang Ludwig, but not both. Because it sounded like, TJ wanted to kind of, go back and forth. This is his story.
Yeah, he said he wanted to do his training camp for Dominic Cruz with Dwayne, and then Uriah was like, nope, it's all or nothing. So
yeah, and then you listen to Cody, and he says, he's a traitor, he's a snake in the grass, just like Connor said he was, et cetera, et cetera. So Cody sees it as a betrayal. So there's some serious bad blood between the two of them.
Well, because in season 22, he was standing up for TJ. Conor McGregor was running his mouth saying, "Oh, that guy's gonna leave you. You should recognize." Somebody that's going to betray you. And No Love actually stood up for TJ. And tonight's episode, Cody was like, Connor was right. Mystic Mac, of course, was right.
Yeah, I mean, Cody Garbrandt is a very loyal person. So at that point, he considered TJ to still be in Team Alpha Male. So, yeah, of course, he had his back. But, now things are totally different.
All right, Ted, another cool thing about this season as we were introduced to the fighters that we're going to be having on, Dana White says $10K a fight every fighter is going to be receiving, and also they negotiated $5K for a finish.
Yeah, who was that? It was, one of the guys said, what about finishes? Are you going to be paying for finishes? How about 10 grand? And Dana White says, let's make it 5.
And then he said, no, what about 10 and 10?
Oh, 10 and 10?
He was like, what about 10 and 10? Dana was like, we'll do 5. We'll do 5.
Yeah, I missed that last part. But yeah, so it just, but nevertheless, it still, increases the pot. I guess they could potentially, the winner could potentially be walking away with, $300K. So that's amazing. That's awesome.
So Ted, let's reminisce about some familiar faces that we saw tonight on this season.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody. If you're a fan of Tough or just the UFC in general, you recognize pretty much all of them.
Yeah,
everybody. James Krause, I guess, is the only guy who is currently in the UFC.
What about Hector Urbina? Isn't he part as well?
I don't think so. At least if you listen to Krause said that at one point. He says I'm the only guy. Now, I mean, I guess he's right. I didn't recognize Urbina as somebody who's, well, it's not like I have the whole roster memorized, but I think Krause is the only guy. But, I mean, sure, yeah, I recognized everybody on there. But I have to say, Tom Galicchio is the hairiest human being I have ever seen. or he's at least the hairiest fighter. He's at least the hairiest fighter I've ever seen.
Yeah, a lot of people probably remember him from season 22 of The Ultimate Fighter, Ted, where he was actually pretty funny on that season. He knows some magic tricks, and he's definitely a hairy little guy. He's only 22. Individual. He's only 22. He's that hairy.
Yes, he's a hairy individual. Hey, here's my other observation. When we first saw Cody and TJ walk out, the guys are already there, and then Cody and TJ walk out to the room, and Cody's got the belt. And how big did that belt look on him? I mean, it looked like the platter that you get, if you win Wimbledon, that huge platter. You know what I mean? I'm thinking maybe they should make those championship belts, relative to your size. Like, in other words, Mighty Mouse gets a Mighty Mouse-sized belt, and Stipe Miocic gets a big-ass belt. You know what I mean? You got to make them for the person. So I think Garbrandt needs to downsize just a little bit on the belt. It was huge.
Well, remember when Derek Lewis was walking around backstage with that belt, that little belt, how weird it looked on him. Do you remember that?
Oh, I missed that. I missed that one.
Derek Lewis was walking around backstage with like a mini belt, and it was like a little play belt. It was like,
okay.
But yeah, man, tonight it was so weird because both these guys, I don't know if they've talked really since that issue that they had at that camp. So it was definitely a weird interaction between the two. And I didn't know how late into the season we were going to see that choke, and we're going to get into that in a second.
Exactly.
But it happened tonight.
Yep, I was wondering the exact same thing, man, because I think it was when we had Wanderlei Silva and Chael Sonnen, we had to wait until, because they kept teasing that fight that they had in the studio and teasing it, stringing you along all the way through, and then I forget what episode it was. But, we didn't have to wait for the choke.
Yeah, we definitely didn't have to wait for that. So, yeah, man, the first matchups, Cody was just picking everybody from Cleveland. He literally picked everyone from the land, or at least the West Coast.
Oh, yeah, he kept saying, another Ohio boy. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, I mean, wouldn't you want to go on, skills, that kind of a thing.
Yeah. Well, the first matchups, man, I was excited about it. Cody picks Gilbert Smith versus Seth, which I thought was a pretty interesting matchup, and also James Krause versus Hector Urbina. Let's break into the talk about Hector Urbina here. This was a big standout tonight on Twitter. He was going through the weight cuts, and it really seemed like he just kind of gave up on it, and he was like, "Coach, I give up." What were your thoughts on Hector's stage tonight?
Well, it kind of sounded as though he didn't find out about it with a lot of time to spare, but he wanted it, being invited to the show. That's kind of the way he made it sound, as though he wanted to jump on it. He got the offer. He didn't want to say no, but he knew going into it that he had a lot to drop, and then being picked as one of the first fights, he got less time to lose the weight, and but I mean, yeah, I don't know if he's a huge dude. He might want to consider 185. You know what I mean? I think his body was trying to tell him something there. And you even heard Dana White saying this is dangerous.
Yeah.
Trying to lose it so in such a short amount of time.
Me and you were talking about it right before we went live here, how they're really trying to string along how heartfelt a lot of these guys are. It really is the redemption season. A lot of these guys are really, it's all or nothing right now for them.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Seth Baczynski, his sister, and yeah, obviously it's very emotional for him. He had a very difficult time talking about that still, her murder, and Gilbert Smith wants to make his kids proud of him, and he feels this is pretty much his promise.
Yeah,
this is pretty much his last go around. And he was saying something about his parents. His parents didn't leave him a legacy. But he wants to provide that to his kids, that just to be a great role model, a great example of them. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, just a ton of emotions in this first episode, and it'll probably continue, because these guys aren't spring chickens anymore. They've lived, they've been through the UFC, they've been out of the UFC, they've probably had other jobs, other things going on in their lives, whether it's marriages, separations, divorces. Even Joe Daddy said he started drinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's going to be really, really emotional. I can tell. You can tell too. Right?
One thing I wanted to talk with you about was, and I was looking forward to this moment, was seeing what kind of training TJ was going to be doing, what kind of training Cody was going to be doing. What was your take on how they're interacting with their team?
Well,
from what we can tell so far in just, tonight's episode.
Yeah, see, TJ had said at one point, oh, well, he's not going to be in, who was it? Not Urbina, but Baczynski's corner. He said, oh, he's not going to be in his corner. But, I mean, I thought that Cody was very dedicated in the training sessions. And you can tell he gets into it and really enjoys it. I think they both do. Both Cody and TJ. How about you?
Cody was getting pissed about Hector and how undedicated he was. He didn't really want to train for the fight. He was just really focused on that weight cut. Really wasn't committing himself. And Cody was like, "Stop being a bitch, dude." He like muttered it under his breath.
That's true. He did say that. He did call him a bitch under his breath. Yeah, I mean, you know, this whole weight cutting issue, I think we're going to just see more of it. And we might have talked about this last week with Whitaker. Robert Whitaker, now Bobby Knuckles, as a lot of people like to call him. He used to train to lose the weight, he was saying. Now he just trains to get better because he's pretty much training at his walk-around weight or his fighting weight. Whereas before he trained as a welterweight, you know, he was fighting as a welterweight. He would come in at, you know, maybe 185, 190, whatever, and have to get down to that weight. And that sounds like what Hector was doing. He was just so preoccupied with losing the weight that he couldn't train for his opponent.
Yeah, Ted, I definitely realized that tonight they were really trying to focus on showing people the dangers of weight cutting. I really enjoyed that because people don't understand what these fighters have to go through leading up to fights. Of course, a lot of guys aren't going to be dropping 25, 30 pounds like that and be drenched in sweat, but it's a dangerous thing. And the fighters, they really got to do it the right way. And tonight we saw that the fighter was kind of stubborn with his weight cutting. And the coach was like, "No, man, I shouldn't have let him do that."
Well, yeah, it was like too little too late when, who was it? Danny Castillo, when he said, "Okay, I'm taking over now. You're going to listen to me. I'm going to show you how to do it." It was just too little too late. Like, you know, Urbina's on the bike, but he doesn't have his plastics on. You know, like, I mean, but sometimes even that's not enough. It reminded me of, I'm going back a ways, Gabe Rudiger. Gabe Rudiger had the plastics on, and then they took the stationary bike, they put it inside the sauna, and he crapped out. He couldn't do it. I forget what season that was, but he was really, people gave him a lot of shit for that. You know, just he quit basically.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
But it's tough.
And then we were seeing TJ train with Gilbert Smith, and he was like, "You know, this is all I have." And he was really connecting with TJ. I like seeing that. And you can tell how hungry that guy is. And at one point, I was sitting there with Andrea. She was watching it with me. And she didn't like what he was saying. He was walking around like, he actually came out in his underwear. And the guys all like,
whoa.
Yeah, and he started like running his mouth saying, "You know, I've never been submitted. I've never done this. I've never been knocked out." And I was telling Andrea, I was like, he needs to psych himself up. He's about to go into a fight. He's trying to prepare himself. You can't judge a fighter on that. He's going through what he needs to go. Usually he's not around a group of guys when he's leading up to a fight like that. You know?
That probably wasn't the best thing to do.
Yeah.
To do it in front of those guys. But, yeah, you could tell it hit him. You know, he was probably up in this room, laying down in bed, and it's like he got struck by lightning, and he got to run downstairs. We didn't see any of that, but, you know, he ran downstairs in his undies.
Yeah.
For God's sake. In his tighty ladies or his tighty blues or whatever. So, yeah, so he was upset because he was one of the last fighters picked, but yet he was picked first to fight. So he was insulted by that. And that carried over, I guess, into the gym, where he's saying that he's beaten guys that have beaten Seth Baczynski, et cetera, and Baczynski happens to hear it because he's just right next door.
He's literally right next door with no team member. The door is wide open.
Doors are wide open.
And it's just him in there.
Baczynski comes in, and they start yelling at each other, and then they get separated, and then they yell at each other again. You know, yeah.
I'm sure that the FS1 crew set it up like that because that was just so crazy. They must have set it up like that. I swear.
Yeah, highly suspect.
I mean, you can't be mad. You can't be mad at Gilbert for talking with his teammate, trying to pump his self-esteem up, right? I mean, unfortunately, his opponent was right there, 10 feet away, with the door open, and the camera guy in the hallway going back and forth between rooms.
How fortunate was that? It just so happened. You know, that Seth was in the next room and all the doors were open and everything like that. You know what I mean?
So then Ted, he ends up trying to apologize to him. And he walks out during TJ's training session, or Cody's training session. And Cody's like, "TJ, get your boy on a leash, man. He's going nuts." Yeah.
That was funny that Smith came back in and he was trying to backpedal and say, that he didn't say anything about Seth when clearly he did, and it was just a big mess.
But the people at home have to understand this is what the fighters go through to get ready for fights. They have to mentally be prepared as well as they are physically, as well as their cardio. You have to be somewhere mentally as well. It's just unfortunate his opponent was right there. So what did they have to do with Hector Urbina, Ted? What did you agree on that Cody was able to pick a team member to come on, which was Johnny Nunez, that we remember from season 22 of Ultimate Fighter, but it wasn't allowed to rematch with someone else. TJ wasn't able to rebuttal it and match it up with somebody different.
Right, because I guess, did TJ set up that original fight with Urbina and...
I believe so. He had first fight pick, I believe.
Right, so he set it up. He set it up between Krause and Urbina, so he's like, well, I need to set Nunez up with a fighter of my choosing. But then Dana White said, no, we're just going to have Krause against Nunez, but not on the same date as Smith and Basinski. It'll be at a later date so they can prepare for their new opponents. Hey, we got some folks checking in on the live chat. Rusty is here. Anne, she says she's fine except for his shoulder, or her shoulder. Excuse me. Her shoulder's killing her. I'm not sure why. Was it? I know she goes to the gym and trains and everything. I don't know if that's the reason why. Or
big shout out to Ann. Ann, we know you've been having such a rough week. I hope that you are happy tuning in with some family here on Evil and Intoxicated, episode number 45. We were actually talking with Ann tonight, Ted. We were doing live tweeting, and in case anybody at home doesn't know, me and Ted are going to be live tweeting every episode throughout the season. We're changing our show times to 11 p.m. now. Right. But make sure you guys tune in live during the show if you want to talk with me and Ted. Ann did just that, Ted. She was checking in with us. She was a little late on it, but was able to catch up. Ann, thanks for tuning in with us tonight.
Oh, and she said she loved the throat grab. She was like, how fast? He was like, boom. And remember, Cody says, what do you say? Eagle snatches the snake.
Which was kind of stupid. I mean, you could have injured TJ. I don't want to be the peanut gallery here, but, I mean, there's a lot of money on the line, a title on the line. He could have really injured TJ doing something stupid like that.
Yeah, that was true. I mean, that is, yeah. But in the heat of the moment, Cody, I guess, he said, he got into my bubble. TJ got really close to him. Almost nose to nose, so he's like, I'm going to snatch you then.
I mean, they were standing next to one another. I mean, like, how close was the bubble?
Anyway. They were there anyway, so, yeah. I know. It just, makes for good TV.
You could feel the tension building up into that. But, TJ was not happy that he couldn't repick that matchup there. And it's not Krause's issue either that Hector missed the weight. He was preparing to get ready mentally to get ready for that fight. It's not his issue. Of course, he felt some type of way about it too.
Yeah, there's some. I mean, Urbina is a huge dude. Eddie Gordon, when he fought on the Ultimate Fighter, he was 205. Then he dropped to 185. Now he's 170. Holy crap!
Happy to see Eddie back on. It's
crazy to see somebody like him, and then Joe Stevenson, who's about 5'5", and look at those two guys and go, yeah, these guys are the same weight class. Yeah, that's just crazy.
Yeah, man, it definitely is, and it's crazy that because we're seeing so many changes in the sport with USADA, that a lot of these guys are changing their weight classes. We're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that we're seeing more of, Ted, is people are doing less sparring now, less hard sparring. That's another thing.
Less hard sparring. Unless you train at AKA, then you're doing the same amount of sparring, and then you're getting injured.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Although they do have, I've seen a chart where they do have the I guess right now they have the record for the most fighters injured, most pullouts.
And it's all at AKA, right?
Right. That's what I mean. That gym, that academy has the number one rating, if you will. They're top on the list.
So another cool thing tonight, Ted, we got to see Uriah Faber. We got to see, and I'm sure they're going to unravel the backstory more as the show goes on. But I want to see more interface between Uriah and Dwayne. I mean, do we know how they left off? Not really, right?
Well,
are they tight?
there was some type of disagreement between them, and that's why Dwayne Ludwig left to set up his own school in Colorado.
Well, yes, yeah.
If that's what you mean. I don't know if they've ever spoken with each other again after that.
Yeah, they didn't do much. They didn't do much on the backstory there between Uriah and.
No, you're right. It mainly focused on Cody and TJ. Yep. I would like to see. I would like to see Uriah Faber, how he interacts with TJ as well. Should be interesting.
Also, as I'm looking through Twitter here, a lot of people are saying that Cody came off salty to a lot of people out there. What do you think about that? I've seen a lot of it.
I don't know what he would have to be salty about.
Well, grabbing TJ, being so explosive, I guess that's what they're aiming towards. Calling one of his teammates a bitch. Stop being a bitch.
It's not. I don't know if it's salty per se, or it's just the guy's got a temper and he's incredibly loyal.
Well, think about all the new people that don't know these guys. They have no idea who these guys are. You know what I mean? How they're
I think Cody just feels betrayed. He's taking it personally that TJ Dillashaw, a guy that he trained with and hung out with, left them and did it in a deceitful way. So he takes that personally. You know what I mean? And you can just tell he's going to hound TJ the entire time. He's just going to keep on hounding him and in hopes that will that he'll be able to gain the psychological advantage leading up to their fight.
Well, we see this all the time in Cody's fight. He needs that psychological thing going on. He did it with the Thomas Almeida. Not with Thomas Almeida indirectly. He was actually beefing with Thomas Almeida's team leading up to that fight at, I think it was UFC 205. And then also the fight with Dominic Cruz. We saw the worst back talk we've ever really seen before.
He was just stalking Dominic Cruz. Just every chance he got, he was just forcing a confrontation,
But as soon as Cody stepped in there, he was feeling that energy off of that. So you kind of seen this before with Cody. You kind of know that he needs some kind of confrontation going around right now. And also, Ted, it's interesting because TJ wants his belt back so bad, but he hasn't been finishing fights lately. Cody's been finishing a lot of his fights. TJ is one of the guys that really needs a couple of rounds to break a fighter down. So I'm interested in how this is going to go along between the guys. Psychologically, I think it has a lot to do with leading up to that fight. I think that's a big factor in it.
Yeah, man. I mean, who was it? Was it Tim Sylvia who was like, 50% of this is 90% mental or something like that? Some quote like that, man. I got to look it up. I love that quote.
So let's jump right into the fight, Ted. You ready to jump into this fight here between Seth and Gilbert?
Absolutely.
It was kind of a shame because I was expecting to see two fights tonight, but we're going to settle for this one here.
Yeah. We got the one, and really a contrast of styles and also physiques. I mean, you've got Basinski, who is tall and rangy, 6'3", made 170, and then Gilbert Smith, who's built like like a tank.
Like a shit ton of bricks, yeah.
Yeah, right. He's 5'9", all muscle. So, and a wrestler, Basinski, more of a striker. Was susceptible to the takedowns. Didn't seem to. He did have a guillotine, but he didn't have it secured.
Tight, so man. In the second.
What's that?
He had that thing tight too. It was in the second round.
Yeah. I mean, he was going for it. He was definitely going for it. But I mean, it wasn't the most exciting fight out there. But then again, Gilbert Smith can take you down, so you're gonna have to, stop him from doing that. You know what I mean? That's his game. I mean, he'll punch you a little bit, but he's using the punches and the kicks to set up the takedown. That's what he did. He worked his game. You know what I mean? And did you like at the end? He was like, "Hard work,
yes,
hard work, hard work."
I was about to bring that up. Yeah, at the end of it, he started screaming, "I like it, I love it, hard work."
I like it, hard work. He actually has #hard work determination tattooed on his chest. Or dedication. Hard work, dedication. That's actually from Floyd Mayweather, right? But anyway, it's tattooed on his chest.
That was the best part of the night. I think that definitely gets the laugh of the night right there.
Oh yeah.
Hashtag hard work. I like it. I love it.
So what did you think of the fight?
All right, so I thought Gilbert was doing amazing in the beginning in the first round with his leg kicks, and he had a lot of control during that clinch using the knees. As soon as he got that takedown, though, and was able to take Seth back, man, he just made him carry his weight and just tired him out. So easily first round went for Gilbert. In the second round, I don't know, Seth was trying to circle, trying to do something different, but it was the same thing that happened in the first round. I mean, he was trying to swing with the jabs. He just kept missing. He did connect with one really nice 1-2 that I noticed that really caught Gilbert off guard. That could have definitely struck him. But Gilbert was able to wrap him up again and get another takedown, and that's what led to that choke that we were just talking about.
Right, the guillotine. Yep. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so maybe it all boiled down. I mean, it's probably some, partially skill and partially strength. I mean, you've got to have a certain amount of strength to finish that too. And clearly Gilbert is a lot stronger than Basinski is.
When that moment happened, I was like, who the hell is screaming that? And I didn't realize it was just him on top, just throwing fury fists. Just, I like it. I love it.
It totally spazzed out, man.
Hard work. I was like, what? Who is saying that?
Does that?
At first, I thought it was Seth saying that, and I was like, oh, yeah, Gilbert on top just pounding away at him. But, yeah, man, beautiful takedowns, I thought, by Gilbert. He just smothered him in this fight. Was it what you were expecting, though, Ted? Were you rooting for Gilbert going into this fight? Because we did a poll on Twitter. Literally 50% went for Seth, 50% for Gilbert.
50-50, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, they both had, if you want to talk like emotional investment, they both had, the show showed that for both of these guys. So, I mean, I didn't have a horse in this fight, honestly. I just wanted to see the best guy win. I just want to see an exciting fight. So, didn't quite deliver, but we've got somebody in Smith where he's got one thing that he's very good at. So it would be interesting to see who can come along and maybe who will have the counter to that. Who will be the kryptonite if there is somebody.
So now, do both these guys get 10K, or just the winner is getting 10K?
I thought it was the winner.
Just the winner.
Maybe there's a nominal fee for the loser. Maybe they get a couple grand or whatever. But I think he was talking about if you win every one of your fights, so it's 10 grand a fight. But then, how do you get to 250 then? That's a lot of fights.
No, I think at the end the winner gets the 250 on top of it all.
Oh, so as you're going along, you're getting. If you win, you get 10 grand. You finish, you get another 5 grand.
Yeah.
And then you can get the 250 at the end.
Yep.
But you remember, like in past Ultimate Fighters, it ain't 250. It ain't a check for 250. It's like a 4-year contract or something.
Yep.
So
unless it's the coach's challenge, then you get hard cash.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, Ann's saying it was an okay fight, not really exciting. Yeah, I would agree with that. But let's see. So
well,
at
Ted,
the end,
I wanted to ask you really quick.
Yeah.
If you were a new fan tonight, you never saw MMA before in your life, you're 15, 16 years old, whatever. You're flicking through and you stumble upon the beginning of Ultimate Fighter. You watch it through. Are you coming back next week? Are you interested in MMA now? What are your thoughts on that? Was tonight's episode enough to really pull you in, including tonight's fight where it wasn't a finish? It was just really a grinding fight, which if you're new to the sport, a lot of people don't like it. I enjoyed it, but what are your thoughts here?
Well, it had punches, it had kicks, it had takedowns, it had submission attempts. So it had what's that?
It had punches, it had kicks.
It had everything.
I like it and I love it.
So the fight had everything. It just, I don't know. Ann's right. Whatever it was, there was something missing that didn't make it so that it wasn't exciting per se. It wasn't the most exciting back and forth battle. But no, I mean there was definitely emotion there, as we talked about, with getting into the backgrounds of the fighters, and so even if you were a noob, if you're totally new to the sport, I think you would get hooked on that, and then seeing these guys training and the the whole drama with Urbina. I think it was they did the best they could with what was presented to them. You know what I mean? Because it's MMA, so.
I agree.
Urbina dropped out, and all these other things going on. So no, and especially the conflict there between TJ and Cody.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to tune into that next week?
There's a lot going on. There's more than one story.
You know what I mean?
I thought it was a beautiful, perfectly done first episode. I thought they could have done. I thought they'd done exactly what they could have done. As much as they could have done with what they had, like you said.
Right. Right.
Including the choke, including the story between the weight loss and everything wrapped into one. The only sour part of the night was there was no finish during the fight. I guess that's my only complaint as a fan. But I thought during the fight it could have happened at any minute. You could have got that choke. Either guy could have lost. I was at the edge of my seat. I loved it, man. I gave tonight out of 10. I gave tonight a good 9. I'm definitely interested in what's going to happen next week.
Oh, and Ann, I guess, is a big Jesse Taylor fan.
Oh yeah.
She was just typing Jesse.
She was wondering what team Jesse was on. Did you catch what team Jesse's on?
Yeah, I have the teams here if you want me to run through them real quick.
Yeah, run through them for our audience tonight. We have Ted. I had a request because we have listeners in the UK that aren't able to watch the show, so they're tuning in to find out what happened here. So yes.
Oh, okay.
Please, please do.
So, Team Dillashaw: James Krause, Jesse Taylor, Ramsey Nijam, Diego Lima, Joe Stevenson, Tom Galicchio, and Gilbert Smith.
Is on whose team?
That's Dillashaw.
Okay.
Then you got Team Garbrandt: Seth Baczynski, Medai Baghdad, Eddie Gordon, Hector Urbina, Hayder Hassan, Julian Lane, and Justin Edwards.
It's a great group of guys right there. And I think they did another great job showing all of these guys' backstories. And as the season goes on, they're going to do more flashbacks for every fighter, of course.
Right, yeah. They really went they really delved into Smith and Baczynski and, a little bit into some of the other guys. But, yeah, we'll see more profiles of whoever's fighting. I would guess whoever's fighting next week, they'll go, full bore into their lives. So, should be good. Should be good. Yeah, I like recognizing everybody right from the jump. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's cool when you get young guns in there that you never heard of, but I also like seeing familiar faces. And Ann, especially, she was talking about Julian Lane. Let me bang, bro. Let me bang.
Let me bang, bro. Bro, I do let you bang, bro.
I do let you bang.
I do let you bang, bro.
Have you seen the video somebody did on that? Like, they show that clip, and then they have Whitney Houston, and I... It's awesome. It is awesome. You got to see it.
Ted, you're the best, man.
It's fantastic.
That is awesome. So, yeah, Ted, that reaches our half-hour mark here. So, next week, it's going to be Toothless Tom on Cody's team, I believe, and then Eddie Chuck Gordon on TJ's team, correct?
Yeah, it was chosen by Cody. Cody chose the toothless yet very hairy Tom Galicchio.
Toothless yet hairy.
Right, from Team Dillashaw, taking on Cody's guy in Eddie Gordon. And then Cody and TJ went at it again. They were yelling at each other like a couple times. After that, they had to be broken up. So it's crazy. It's just going to keep going like this. I wonder if it's just going to be like that, or if they're going to actually do like pranks against each other as well.
Like the Biz Bing Mayhem season?
Right, exactly.
I'm sure some of that stuff will unravel. Yeah, I had to plug my computer in here, Ted. It started dying on me. My bad.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so guys, tune in next week. And like Ted was just saying, TJ and Cody were going at it at the end there. Cody was like, quit getting out of line.
Yeah.
Quit getting out of line. And all TJ could say is just call him a bitch. So that was...
He called him a bitch quite a bit. Yeah.
Quite a bit. That's all he could really get off there. And Cody's no chill sonnin', but compared to TJ in tonight's episode, he definitely was trumping it there.
Yeah, and he's being an alpha male, you know, a true alpha male. He's establishing he's establishing his dominance. You know, so we'll just have to see how much you know, does that actually count for anything in the long run, you know?
So last question here, Ted, before we move on. I ranked in, I gave it 9 out of 10. What did you give tonight's episode?
Yeah, 9. 9's good. I'll go with you, Eddie. I agree with you. So for fight events we do 5 stars, and
yeah.
Then for tough we do 10.
Yeah.
That's fine. As long as I know what we're doing.
You want to know why? The only reason why I do 5 stars on Fight Night is because when we're on Twitter, I can't put 10 stars in the polls. So
is that right? Okay.
I can't actually put the 10 stars in there. They don't fit. Yeah, guys, let us know what you thought of tonight's performance of Ultimate Fighter. What did you rank it out of 10? Let us know on Twitter at TedCzech. That's TEDCZECH, and also at Pure Evil MMA.